Have you ever wondered what makes things hot or cold? The answer is heat. Heat is a form of energy that flows from hotter objects to colder ones. Temperature, on the other hand, measures how hot or cold something is. Think of it this way. Imagine a pot of hot soup. The soup has a lot of heat energy. We can measure how hot the soup is by using a thermometer. The thermometer tells us the soup's temperature. Heat and temperature are closely related but different. Heat is the energy, while temperature is the measurement of that energy. Understanding this difference is important for understanding how heat affects the world around us. Everything around us is made of tiny particles called atoms and molecules. These particles are always moving. When we heat something up, we add energy to these particles. This added energy makes the particles move faster and spread further apart. This spreading out of particles is what we call expansion. When something cools down, the opposite happens. The particles lose energy, slow down, and move closer together. This is called contraction. Almost all materials expand when heated and contract when cooled. We see examples of expansion and contraction every day. Have you ever noticed that sidewalks have spaces between the concrete slabs? These spaces are there to allow the concrete to expand on hot days. Without these spaces, the expanding concrete would crack and break the sidewalk. Another example is the metal lid of a jar. If you can't open a jar, run hot water over the lid. The heat will make the metal lid expand, making it easier to twist off. Section 4. Measuring heat, thermometers and temperature scales. We use thermometers to measure temperature. Thermometers work because liquids like mercury or alcohol expand when heated and contract when cooled. When the liquid in a thermometer gets warmer, it expands and rises up the thin tube inside. When it gets cooler, the liquid contracts and goes down the tube. We use different temperature scales to measure how hot or cold something is. The most common scales are Celsius and Fahrenheit. On the Celsius scale, water freezes at 0 degrees Celsius and boils at 100 degrees Celsius. Section 5. Heat, transfer, conduction, convection, and radiation. Heat can travel in three main ways: conduction, convection, and radiation. Conduction is the transfer of heat through direct contact. For example, if you touch a hot stove, heat is conducted from the stove to your hand. Convection is the transfer of heat through the movement of fluids like liquids or gases. When you boil water in a pot, the water at the bottom gets heated first and rises, while the cooler water at the top sinks down to be heated. Radiation is the transfer of heat through electromagnetic waves. The sun's heat reaches us through radiation. Understanding these different types of heat transfer helps us to explain how heat moves around us. In conclusion, heat is a form of energy that makes things hot. It causes materials to expand and contract, and it can be transferred through conduction, convection, and radiation. Understanding heat is essential for understanding many things in our world.